You don't trust
We
me.
have to be careful. The Americans are getting jumpy. They've given you access to some very sensitive information.
This is not who he is. He needs to remember his life. You have to fix him.
You should hear what they say about him at court. How he mistakes the earth for a side of beef. So he puts it on a spit and roasts it in the sun's fire.
Forget trying to kill tumors. You've created a cell that gets them to fall on their swords and die.
Dr. Feynman, you singled out Krista McCullough. Why?
Because she wanted to teach kids how beautiful the world is.
If you enjoy science and great storytelling, we've got you covered. This is the Relativity Series from LA Theater Works and the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, bridging science and the arts in the modern world. Hi again, I'm Ron Lipkin, senior radio producer for LA Theater Works. Today's topics include bioethics, money, and power. As a point of reference to get us into our story, you may have heard about a certain real-life medical company that promised to revolutionize blood testing and how they got all kinds of funding and famous people on board, universal accolades, and then none of their claims held up. The whole thing fell apart. It wasn't real. Our science drama this time is a first cousin to that real-life cautionary tale. We've got a young, hotshot cancer researcher who thinks he's onto something big, really big. And when his less-than-ethical mentor pushes him to release his findings, peer-reviewed or not, our hero finds himself at odds with his data and his conscience. This is Secret Order by Bob Clyman, starring Richard Schiff, George Segal, Will McCormack, and Angela Goethals. Directed by Gordon Hunt.
Is this on? Hello. My name is Dr. William Shumway. On behalf of the program committee, welcome to the university's Monday lecture series. Afterwards, there'll be something to eat. For those of you who came to today's symposium expecting to hear Dr. Vregel in Flemish studies read from his new collection of poems, he was suddenly called out of town, and the program committee has asked me to fill in. I'm a cell biologist here at Illinois. My area is cancer research, so if there's any logic to the process, I have to assume I wasn't their first choice. Ordinarily, I would have tried like the Dickens to get out of it. I don't really like talking in front of groups or being in groups or talking. But this morning, the most amazing thing, then suddenly, complete coincidence, I was being asked to speak. So imagine your body's a community. And your cells are the people who live there. The dream of every cell is to be immortal, to make endless copies of itself, but the community can only use so many liver cells and no more than 2 eyes. So your cells need to cooperate, send signals to each other. Yes, it's your turn to divide, or no, please wait in line. Actually, it's a lot like the town meetings where I grew up, because everyone's got an opinion and they're all talking at once. But what makes this really confusing is you've got 10 billion cells. So the meeting feels more like China with no one in charge. But it all works out in the end. Everyone gives a little, gets a little, because that's what a community is. Except every now and then you get a bad apple. The kind of cell that just won't listen to no. He never used to be a problem, but then he mutated into a cancer cell, pumping out copies, who also keep pumping out copies, a virtual riot of malignant, unstoppable vanity, until the day comes you notice they've driven out all the decent folk and taken over the town. Everything we've tried, surgery, chemo, comes at a terrible cost. So it occurred to me, what if instead of attacking the cancer directly, I could turn it against itself? This was 3 years ago, and you can't imagine how difficult technically, but I just finished running a set of experiments. And now, remember, everything I've done so far has been just in a petri dish, nothing on actual mice, let alone, and again, it's only one set of experiments, so this is completely premature. But I think I may have figured out how to cure cancer. How am I doing on time? Hello?
Hey, listen, I'm calling. I just read your paper. Grab a pen.
In your letter, do I think you should try to publish in Cell magazine? 4 days in a petri dish? Don't waste the stamps. Maybe in immunology or trends? I don't know where you got the idea. It's ready for Cell. I'm sorry, and this is who?
Bob Brock, Hill Matheson.
You mean Dr. Brock? I can't believe you even read it.
Cell won't even look at it till you've got something with animals. You can teach tumors to dance the mambo. Cell won't care if it's still in the dish. Then there's your writing. It's awkward, tentative. No point mincing words. It stinks. Read Whitehead and Russell for style. By the way, who are you? I've never heard of you. I only started reading your paper because I thought it was something else. Now, what I get is you're stitching together DNA snippets from a few genes and slipping them into a cancer cell where they reprogram it and turn it into this R cell of yours. Is that not correct?
I guess you could...
So now instead of always telling itself, yes, it's time to divide, like a cancer cell does, your R cell says, no, it's time to stop. Is that close enough?
Are you asking...
Well, it's been done.
I know.
The snippets are small, you're jamming in more, but more doesn't make it new. Look, I'm off in 5 minutes to do a site visit in London, some important new work on fever. I really can't talk with you now. Hello?
Yes?
Go on, you were saying.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
I see you're at Illinois. A lot of bright people there, I'm sure. Then there's New York. We're 6 months away from the best immunology department in the world. That's why they call it New York. I'm only going for brilliant here. Can't be bothered with bright. Hello?
Hi.
Your R cell doesn't just tell itself no. It goes after any cancer cell around it and wipes them out by telling them no. This is new. It's not the money, is it?
No.
Good, that's out of the way. So what then? Oh, no, of course. You like it there. The Midwest. Why not? I'm told the wind comes sweeping down the plain. Plus, you work for Ed Paxson. I've known Ed for years. He's exceedingly bright. There isn't a better program if you're looking for somewhere to die. Let me guess, he wants to make you repeat what you've done in 10 different nutrient cultures?
Well, he feels in order to
And I'm sure that's a perfectly valid point, but it's also complete bullshit. Ed's the best juicer I know. He could squeeze 10 different papers from one piece of work. Life's pretty short, William. Do you want to spend 2 more years of it still in the dish?
I'm sorry, did you just offer me a job?
Hill Matheson, best cancer research institute in the world. New York, best city in the world, starting in a month.
God, is there any way that this could wait?
I want you here tomorrow. I'm giving you a month.
I'm just kind of in the middle of a lot...
Connie, change my flight and put me through Chicago. I need to stop in Champaign-Urbana.
Do you understand the magnitude of what you've already done? People have spent the last 20 years trying to figure out how tumor cells trick us into thinking they're one of us. You're tricking tumor cells into thinking we're one of them. This is one of those moments when people better cover their heads because there's a low rumble. Old plates are starting to slide apart and the crust is going to fly. You're taking us down the rabbit hole. And journals like Cell don't like getting papers from Illinois that scared them.
Look, even if I started shutting
things down tomorrow... This is a requisition for your new animal lab. Do you want me to sign it or not?
You mean, back up a second, you're saying I would have my own lab, my own animal lab?
I need you, William. This is what I've been chasing for years, and you need me. You say the word, and I'll have you in Cell by the spring. I know how to make things happen. I won't let those R cells just sit there rotting at the bottom of a dish.
I'll need at least 200 mice, 20 groups of 10. That's to start. And I can be there... What about... All right, how about 5 weeks? Yes. And make that 25 groups of 10.
1 month. Put down whatever you're doing. Peter Whitcomb's coming up.
Now?
Exactly what are you doing?
Waiting.
New set of slides.
I'm almost ready
You know what I think bothers me most about Peter is his complete self-absorption. He comes to a party. Nobody asked to hear his credentials. No bell at 42. Well, fine. Say it once. Mind if I sit? I have a feeling the wine was Almaden. I had to drink quite a lot to kill the taste. Foundation people from Carnegie, Ford, perfect chance to mention the new wing. Not with Peter around. He acts like the only reason people came is to listen to him.
I thought the party is for him.
Well, of course it is, technically. Can't throw a party, get all those people, and then say the guest of honor is us. Don't give him any specifics. He just wants to snoop around to see if your cell is farther along than his. Hasn't it been 5 minutes? He said 5 minutes. So, how you liking New York?
Fine.
You grew up in Minnesota, I seem to remember. Beautiful country. I'm not interrupting?
No. Well,
Good.
actually...
How about your apartment? Plenty of room to prowl around in.
Mm-hmm.
All the appliances work?
I guess.
The smell of urine, have they gotten that out of the lobby yet? I was appalled to hear.
I think so.
Any pals yet? Someone to go see a film?
Kind of.
William, were you severely beaten as a small boy for talking too much?
Oh, sometimes when I'm working on a new set of slides, I forget to talk. I just try to make myself quiet inside and wait. Sorry.
And that somehow... No, I'm interested. How does it help?
I guess I've always thought about science as, I don't know, revelation. If I care too much about whether I'm right, it becomes more about pride.
Huh. Don't tell me you're religious.
Well, kind of.
Well, no, that's fine. You mean God, that sort of thing. Have you met the Saudis? Extremely devout people. Rearranged their labs so they could do their work facing east. One of my sons, in fact.
One of your sons is a Saudi?
No, believes in God. Or used to, for years, and I never knew.
To me, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. We shuffle pieces around trying to find which ones look like they go together when suddenly the entire design becomes...
You know, it's probably just as wise not to talk like this in front of Peter.
Think about it. If I hadn't read your paper in June of '89 on mapping peptides...
June of '89? I think you're right.
Because if I hadn't, I would have never gone to the meetings in Tucson that year in order to hear you speak.
I nearly won the Nobel twice for that work. Did you know that?
91 and 95.
I got robbed in 95.
Your talk completely changed my life. I thought my brain was on fire.
Wait a second. You went to Tucson in '89? How old were you then?
15. I thought I'd have to hitchhike, but my mother finally broke down and paid for a bus.
You're very different, aren't you? Yeah, so maybe on Sunday you'll come to the apartment, meet Annie, my wife. Second wife, technically. Good. I'll expect you at 10. Why do you keep looking at your watch? Just time for the regular check, right?
Uh-huh.
Nothing particular needs saying?
No, not necessarily.
Is there something you'd like to say?
Not yet.
William?
All right. Okay, here's what I was thinking. Normal cells read each other's signals, which can be yes or no. Cancer cells read only their own signals, which are always yes, keep dividing. That's why they're so hard to stop. And our cell used to be a cancer cell and still looks like one. At least that's what real cancer cells think. So they let its no signals in. The result, no from the outside, yes from within, the signals start to scramble, then shut down, meltdown, death. Only it's not that simple. Why?
The R cell goes after the nearest cancer cell it can find. The R cell looks and acts just like a cancer cell, so it winds up attacking itself.
Exactly. After 3 or 4 days, the R cells wipe themselves out and the tumors start to grow back. If I could add another gene to the R cells, one that'll keep them alive long enough...
You're not considering BC12, I hope.
Actually, I was. If I can isolate
Talk
the
to
sequence...
Peter, he was sure about BC12, then after wasting 6 months, remind me, I'll dig up his paper.
April of '95, he used the wrong sequence. When I read his paper, it made perfect sense. It's just, wrong.
So find the right one.
I did.
Are those the slides? How long before the tumor started to shrink?
14 hours. Down from 20.
14, 20, what else?
I injected the mice 9 days ago. Well, 8.
How long before they began to relapse?
They haven't.
Let me understand. You haven't had a single tumor start to grow back?
They're still shrinking, in fact.
For 8 days?
In 2 more minutes, it could be 9.
You do know it's still much too soon to be sure.
I know.
Jesus, William, what the hell is wrong with you? You don't think at some point it might have been nice to mention this?
I figured you'd say it's much too soon to be sure.
Well, it is, so don't start getting excited. It's premature.
So, while technically I'm only a junior, I topped out of the undergrad track with my scores. And now, with the Pauling Fellowship, that pays for space and enough computer time, I can do my own projects up at Harvard.
Right near Boston?
So it's not terribly far-fetched to think you could use me this summer.
You know, I'm looking, but I don't see a folder.
Actually, I'm sort of pissed. I thought Harvard would have immunology worth doing with a C. That's Ceriton with a C. Or at least down the block at MIT.
Down the block,
I guess when
yes.
80% of the full professors are over 50, the gears have to slow down a
and
little.
you sent a
Although,
cover
truthfully,
letter?
the whole field seems to be getting a little weak in the knees.
With the transcript to my attention?
Yes, B-R-O-C-K, Brock. To me, the excitement is elsewhere. Caltech, a little crackle and pop at Duke, and, of course, here. Dr. Shumway, his article in Cell this month, I thought, no way he could have shrunk a tumor for 2 weeks like that. But after the second read, I had to grab my head to make sure it didn't explode. Then I threw open the window and started shouting how everyone else in tumor research should pack up their things and go home. If I was talking too much, you'd let me know, because I'm a little nervous. You wouldn't just look at your watch. You'd let me know.
Yes, of
Please,
course.
all I want is a broken chair in his lab this summer. Say yes, I really need the challenge.
I'm sorry, but I've looked everywhere, and I have nothing here from you. Now, my secretary said I would see you today.
Naturally, I was grateful. Here, I brought another.
And you sure it was
The
her?
important thing is I'm here and we're meeting.
Miss Ceriton, do I look like someone who can't think of ways to fill his time? You have no appointment. There was never a transcript. I'm guessing you called my secretary. No. Please don't defend yourself. In fact, try not to speak at all. You're like 1,000 poodles barking at once. We don't take summer students here. We found they were often in love with themselves for no apparent reason. They made snide remarks about people over 50 as though being young and irritating were somehow an end in and of itself. Now I am looking at my watch, and I see it's noon.
Then if it's okay, I'd like to take you to lunch.
No need. We understand each other.
I have to do this. It's destiny. The science is perfect, and what an incredible story. On one side, you've got cancer. Smart, tough, enthusiastic, never slows down. On the other, there's a normal, say, a liver cell divides maybe 5 times in its entire life. Which would you bet on? Now, take that same cancer, put it in a room with the R cells, and watch them go. Reading each other, playing off each other, making the perfect moves. Good and evil mean nothing. It's the best against the best, every moment electric and tragic, because this is war. There's only one winner, and it's winner takes all. By the end, they know each other so well. There's a kind of love, and they know they'll have to destroy the thing they love. It's epic. That's the kind of science I want to do.
Give me your transcript. Good. Now we do have a folder on you. As it happens, I'm on my way to Dr. Shumway's lab. If you want to just say hello. So, tell me, Alice, do you have a relative who died of cancer, a close friend?
Excuse me?
Something got you interested in cancer research, that's all I meant.
That's what I thought you meant. I'm a woman, so it's got to be personal. I can't just love science like you.
Miss Ceriton, you want something very badly from me, so if you find me a little patronizing, my suggestion is live with it.
Remember what you were saying about the sequence?
Dr. Shumway, Miss...
Hi. Isn't today Washington?
Oh, I thought you might want to hear a little news.
Let me
first.
say my idea. Maybe the tumors start coming back at 2 weeks.
Did you try cutting that chain out of the sequence?
Didn't help.
How about increasing...
What if instead of increasing the no signals, I focus on ramping the signal
Yeah,
strength
except
up?
you're close to optimal strength
What if
already.
you spliced in a gene sequence that varies the signals to 5% yes? Sorry.
Go on.
I think the tumors could be breaking your code.
Adding those 5 will drop the actual no signal impact by closer to 10.
I know, but if you randomize the 5, you could get enough extra scramble to more than wipe out the loss.
Interesting.
Really?
When we tried it, it didn't work.
Oh.
But it's still an interesting thought.
There now. We've met. Unfortunately, Miss Ceriton has a train to catch.
Right. Thank you. Never overstay your welcome. That's my motto.
If you don't like the way I drive, stay off the sidewalk. That's her motto.
Then how come you brought her here?
I don't know. I was curious.
Me too. Why don't I call downstairs and ask them...
No. Let her go back to Boston first. I'll have Connie phone her and ask her to come back tomorrow for an appointment. Tuck in your shirt, William. How can you work with your shirt hanging?
Sorry.
The conference planners in Tucson just called. Looks like we're in. They even gave us a Friday slot.
Unbelievable.
Congratulations on an excellent start.
Start?
A Saturday slot would be unbelievable. Friday at 10 is an excellent start.
Aren't you excited?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, how many papers get chosen for Tucson?
Very few, but even fewer get picked up for a Saturday slot. All I'm saying is don't forget the difference. Friday at 10 is promising and promises all you need when you're her age. But for you, it should never be enough.
No. You're right.
You need an umbrella.
Why?
There's a storm on its way up from Florida. Take it, take it. I never catch colds.
Then why'd you bring it?
If I keep it, I'll just wind up leaving it on the plane.
I'm not upset.
It's just an umbrella.
I mean, I see your point. Friday isn't Saturday. You're right.
Well then, enough said.
I guess I can always use an umbrella.
Got that umbrella in London, you know.
Thanks.
So don't lose it. It's a nice umbrella. Well,
I decided to take a later train.
Miss...
Ceriton, that's Ceriton with a C. I figured, hey, 12:15, time for lunch. Yeah, well, I grabbed a few slices down the block. I hope you like pepperoni.
How is it?
Delicious. All the pizza in Boston is made by Greeks. Slice?
You might want to think about eating more slowly.
Why?
You'll burn the roof of your mouth.
It's such a waste of time eating slowly. Honest opinion, what do you think of me?
I barely know you, Miss Ceriton. I was just watching you eat.
I wish you'd call me Alice. I've got a boyfriend. It's just awkward the other way. I didn't actually just get back with the pizza. I was waiting for Dr. Brock to leave. Plus, I faked my appointment. He could tell. I really don't believe in lying, so I never get to practice. That's why I'm so inept. Which should tell you how desperate I am. My transcript, in case you want to look while we're talking.
Thanks.
Anything about it unclear?
You're very intense, aren't you?
Say I can work with you and I'll shut up.
Part of the problem is you're an undergraduate.
Why? Because that's what it says on my transcript?
Well, yes, it says 21, undergraduate right here.
Okay, but that's where the similarity ends. What if I move to New York for the fall? Do my senior project with you while I finish taking whatever classes...
That's the other problem. I don't have time to teach you.
I'm not asking you to teach me.
You'd be my student, so wouldn't I kind of have to? I like working alone.
All I want is a chance to be around you and watch.
Then I wouldn't be working alone.
Look, my fellowship travels with me, so you'll be getting me for free. I'll do any job your technicians hate doing, and you just have to go like this when you don't want to talk. It's really not that bad a deal. You're considering it, I can tell.
How?
You haven't thrown me out.
I didn't think you'd leave. Your idea about 5% yes signals? How'd you come up with that?
It just seemed logical.
Adding yes to get no isn't logical.
I did the math.
Right, but before the math, you had the idea. Where did that come from?
I don't know if I can... A couple of days ago, I was thinking... Then, on the train this morning, something else, but that didn't work, so I thought about chicken lo mein for lunch. Picked up the idea again. Thought the smell were probably passing through Bridgeport. Had another idea. Liked the idea. Got stuck. Decided on pizza instead. Then something different about the feel of the tracks. Got pissed off. Noticed somebody's hat. Thought about hat as a metaphor. And suddenly this popped out. Is that okay?
Look, it's only one more year. There are worse things than a degree from Harvard.
Nobody there believes in a cure. They treat the word like a relic from some grainy old film about Louis Pasteur. You get tenure by tacking another 20 seconds onto someone's remission. Being cured is how children think. Like, abracadabra, it's gone.
It's only Harvard, so I'm sure you correct them.
I used to. Now, I just tell them to read your paper.
You're 21, Alice. You'll read plenty of other papers.
It's too late. Yours got inside my brain and rearranged the circuits. Forget trying to kill tumors. You've created a cell that gets them to fall on their swords and die. You've got cells talking other cells into taking a moral position. The whole idea is completely insane and exactly right. Other people might be older and have more experience, but they won't get it like me.
Do you want to see my favorite toy? It's the highest resolution cell counter made. The only places you'll find them are Oxford, Caltech, and here.
How much did it cost?
Precisely, a lot. Now look up at the screen. This slide is what a level 4 mouse carcinoma looks like. Radioactive tags give each kind of cell its color. Blue circles for normal, yellow circles if they're tumors and for the R cells. The next slide is 2 days after injecting the mouse. You can already see more green circles and fewer yellow ones where the tumor cells have turned into the R cells.
Far out.
Now at 8 days, a lot more R cells, fewer tumor. Now at 12, trend continues. Now 14, first time there are more tumor cells than the previous, fewer normal cells too, and the tumor comes roaring back.
Any way to zero in on a smaller part of the slide?
I just lay on a grid of squares, 10 lines vertical, 10 horizontal.
Nice.
Just not specific enough. So I drop a finer grid, make it 100 each way. Say I need a closer look at this square here. I just point the cursor, and that square fills the screen.
Excellent.
Say I want to go finer, 1,000 lines each way. Finer still, 20 more times, and I've got data I can actually use. Too much, even for 3 postdocs and 8 technicians. To start, you'll just be learning my procedures from Tom. He's my chief technician. The procedures are really tedious, as is Tom. I don't do things like Harvard, so if you really want to work here, you'll have to start all over with me.
Wow.
And as far as transferring, Columbia's got the best cell biology program in New York.
Done.
Actually, they like it when people apply. How much time after exams will you need?
Figure 15, 20 minutes to pack.
Then I'll expect you here in June.
Dr. Brock said no way till the fall.
Oh, it's not like there's an actual rule about summer students. He just didn't, want to take you. And now?
Right, you need to get back to work.
Call if you have any questions.
Don't you wish June wasn't so far away?
See you then. Yes?
I'm just, I feel like someone said, here's $1, go buy a perfect day.
Some people eat to live. I live to eat. Even with the ulcer, a glass of tea, maybe an egg in the morning, a light lunch, something dairy, then a sensible dinner. This is what I'm supposed to eat, but am I a good boy? And what's more, I love to nosh. Did you know that man is the only animal who snacks? We've turned eating into a hobby. Sweets, I can live without. You like chocolate, it's yours. But a fresh, warm loaf of bread, I believe this is the closest we'll ever get to seeing the face of God. We haven't been introduced. Saul Roth, chairman of toxicology.
Of course. William Shumway.
Don't be offended. Your shirt tail is out. I find when I tuck it into the underpants, the elastic keeps it in place. This is just a suggestion. My appointment was for 10. Then again, what's an hour? My people waited 40 years in the desert. How? We learned to live off our humps. Here's something no one knows why. Our taste buds are lined up in neat little rows, and yet the nature of human appetite's a mystery. You're from Minnesota. I'm asking.
Oh, yes, outside Duluth.
Do you know the Epsteins, Abe and Betty?
No, I don't think so.
Actually, they live in Wisconsin, but they're probably the nearest Jews to Duluth.
Saul, forgive me.
No, I've been getting acquainted with William. Still waters run deep.
You know, the strangest phone call, a woman from Newsweek, anything new on the horizon, that sort of thing. When all of a sudden she asks if I was aware some of our people, a Dr. Laszlo for one, use only female sheep. And might there be a political agenda that her readers should know? I said, well, that was a fair question, and yes, Dr. Laszlo's sheep are all female, but as Dr. Laszlo is studying cervical cancer, I wasn't sure how it could be helped. Turns out I'd heard her wrong. She wasn't from Newsweek, but Use-Week. There's some radical feminist animal rights group. The thing is, Saul, she's thrown off my whole morning. What's tomorrow at 4 look like for you?
I can come by later.
No, don't be silly.
All I need is a minute.
Saul's flexible. Sure, it isn't a problem. Saul?
Tomorrow at 4? What's a day?
I hope these revisions are final. They have to go out today.
The schedule for Tucson's been set for a month.
Well, when they gave you Friday, your tumors were only shrinking for 2 weeks. Now you're getting 5. Peter Whitcomb just applied for a patent, brand new vaccine. I want that Saturday slot.
How can Peter
He says it's in the pipeline.
What does that mean?
Well, when you've got something, you publish. When you've got nothing, you say it's in the pipeline. Press thinks Peter Whitcomb won the prize at 42. Maybe it's something. Drug companies like Pfizer and Merck think it's got to be something, or why all the press? And even nothing when you water it with $50 million. Sometimes a vaccine will grow. You better get these revisions out today. What did Saul say to you?
I have no idea.
All those years in the desert? His Uncle Milt, who probably doesn't exist?
He waited an hour. How come you didn't put off that woman's call?
There was no woman. He knows that.
He does?
Of course. Why bother lying to him if he doesn't know it's a lie?
What if he believed you?
Use weak?
I thought there was a woman. I was even thinking, what an original name for a magazine.
Saul's afraid I may be planning to cut a few of his projects, but he's mistaken. I plan on cutting them all. My problem is Saul has a lot of friends on the board, so until my position is stronger, I'm on a leash here like everyone else. So if I go to war with Saul, I better be sure I can win.
Why does somebody have to win?
People are dying from cancer, William. We need fresh ideas, not someone who has to cut short a meeting when it's time for his nap. You think your lab is big? Well, you need twice as big. That's what Peter has, and the money it takes is embarrassing.
Just because Dr. Roth can't still work at the same level...
There are only so many dollars. Do I need to go to the blackboard and draw a pie? We're in a dogfight here, William. This is my job, which I do so you can afford to be nice. Terrific. Now you're upset.
No, what do you want me to say?
How about thank you? And watch what you say around Saul. Back against the wall, he's a vindictive son of a bitch, and he's not your friend. So anytime he starts in about Uncle Milt, look for the knife. If I might, I'm beginning to think the board doesn't quite understand. As of an hour ago, the conference planners in Tucson gave Dr. Shumway a Saturday slot. You're all business people. This is a simple business decision. William Shumway is beachfront property. MIT wants him. Duke wants him. After Tucson, he'll have Europe after him, too. Don't insult him. Give him the money he needs. So the postdocs come here instead of Duke, so we can have the space and equipment he could get in a second at MIT. Excuse me, I'm still talking. Can you turn off the cell phone, please? I know you're all busy. This wasn't on the agenda, and there are places you need to be. I don't have time for this either. I've got people waiting to hear your decision from Pfizer and Merck. So until I get an open and binding vote on my budget, nobody leaves this room. I left Yale and came here for one purpose only, to get something done. Still call it a war against cancer. I think of myself as a soldier. I can't compromise on this. If you won't support me, I will have to submit this resignation as of today.
So there was nothing actually in the envelope?
Oh, well, of course there was something. It had to look full.
Well, what if they opened it and saw that you were lying?
They already knew I was lying. If the board thought I was serious, they would have seen me as a hothead.
But this way, when they realized you were lying to them, they saw that they could trust you. Huh.
Saul, come on in. Sit. Sit. Coffee?
Please.
With a little milk. You see, I remember.
Will you let me say one thing right here? Right now, I insist. Bravo. to a successful first year at the helm. Some directors, when they get here, they do a little this, a little that, but not you.
There isn't time.
You said the hell with toxicology. Chemo can go fly a kite. Fuck anyone but me and mine, which is how it should be, to a point. And the point is this. I heard a rumor about your Dr. Shumway, according to which you asked the board to put certain monies at his disposal.
I'm not sure why you call it a rumor.
My Uncle Milt, a very wealthy man, used to say, never get too close to one idea. He was Sephardic, came over in the diaspora on a camel.
Saul, please. This is a copy of my new budget.
You don't imagine the board will approve this arrogant...
I can assure you they agonized before doing that just 10 minutes ago. I understand your disappointment, Saul. Really, I do. So I wouldn't think of you as disloyal if you were to consider other offers that might come along.
I'm 67 years old. My wife and I are very comfortable here.
I seem to remember you've got a daughter living in Dallas. Husband works for Raytheon. Maybe you could find something closer, get to see more of your grandchildren.
You know, now that I'm looking more closely, did I say I couldn't live with these? A man can't get to be 67. He doesn't see flexible as a virtue.
The thing is, Saul, it isn't just the money for your projects. I'm cutting salaries, too.
Well, then, I don't see the problem. My wife, she likes to shop. 32 years, I've told her. What can you buy at Bloomingdale's that Macy's hasn't got? So exactly how much were you thinking?
I really don't want to insult you.
Please, insult me.
The fact is, I could get 3 postdocs with the money I'm paying you.
3 more years. Bob, I'm 70. That's when a man is supposed to be old. I'll lie on the beach in Miami. Go hear Edie Gourmet. In the meantime, all I need is an office with my name on the door, a place to go each morning. I can put on a suit.
Saul, I'm really not the bastard you think I am if you would like to
Ask
stay
anyone, Bob. I never used the word bastard.
But about your own office, Saul, I don't see how. You know the problems we have with space here.
I guess I didn't make myself clear. The money I already told you, make me an offer. The answer is yes. But at 67, without my own office, I shouldn't have to explain
Saul,
this to you.
It isn't just you. I talked with Howard this morning. I'm
All
urging
due
him with
respect,
chemo
Bob,
as of
Howard's
the 8th.
a kid. The budget I can swallow. The office, though, I have to insist.
No, Saul, you don't get to insist. Not anymore. So what do you think?
What do I think? Fuck you is what I think. I've had an office for 33 years since the day I got here from Hopkins.
It's in the order of things, Saul. I'm sorry.
I've been here through 4 different directors. At some point, every one of them needed my support. When that day comes for you...
You wanted to meet, so we're meeting. I could have just sent you a memo.
Shumways come and go. I'll be here to watch the sun burn out.
There now. We've met. How do you like the suit, William?
Doesn't even look like me.
Well, that's the idea. Do you like it?
I look great. You don't think it's too expensive?
For a Friday, you can pick something off the rack. For a Saturday slot, this is your suit. Hill Matheson considers it a wise investment.
Are they aware it costs over $1,000?
Don't worry, the budget provides very clearly for that.
Under what?
Miscellaneous. This isn't miscellaneous. I don't understand the word. Come here. Stand over here. You know, your right shoulder's a little higher than the left.
Sorry.
One of my sons had the same problem.
How many? Sons?
2. Might have been the other shoulder, though, I forget.
What about a little color for the handkerchief?
I don't see it.
Are they scientists?
No, they're in real estate. Good kids, though. Went into business together. Their wives are close. We're on good terms, a little distant. That's only natural. With boys, I mean. Bright kids. Not brilliant. Bright.
I had no idea I was asymmetrical.
Didn't your father ever give you a suit?
I haven't seen him since I was 5.
Ah.
Water under the bridge.
Understood. Hey, why don't you wear it to work? Get used to being the guy in a great-looking suit. Just a couple of hairs here in the back. There now. Perfect.
Great suit.
Is it obvious my right shoulder's higher than my left?
It's all anyone talks about here.
You have the list of which cultures I need you to make while I'm gone?
Yes.
The instructions on running the gels?
They're on the list.
What do you do if you run out of gel boxes?
Look for more behind the fixatives where they always are, which is specified on the list.
Where's the list?
I forget.
Alice?
Right where you posted it, on the liquid nitrogen tank, and on the tissue culture hood where you also posted it, just in case.
Oh, Dr. Brock thought I should leave this key with one of the postdocs or Tom.
How come you didn't?
If something went wrong here, they'd all be upset. You're the only one who'd be as upset as me.
Listen, a few of the toxicology postdocs were talking, and one of them said he heard you believe in God.
And?
I defended you. You're kidding.
I never talk about it here.
You don't mean literally.
This is why.
You're a scientist.
I don't want to discuss it.
Why would you want to believe in something you can't even discuss? This is the same thing I used to get at St. Agnes.
You went to Catholic school?
Until they kicked me out.
Really? Sounds like a match made in heaven.
Yeah, if they would have just said, it's okay to be confused, explaining why babies have to suffer gives us a headache too. But instead of admitting they don't have the answers, they blamed me for asking the questions. It meant I didn't have faith. Faith always seemed like just rolling over to me. Although the funny thing is, I wanted them to be right. I always wanted to give myself over completely to one huge, spectacular idea. And now I have. It just isn't God. Well, I used to envy the girls who had faith. Their brains may have been assembled from a kit, but they had pleasant dispositions. They weren't always angry and disappointed like me.
And why were you disappointed?
I don't know. That there were so many beautiful, terrifying questions, and nobody else seemed to care. When I was little, I couldn't fall asleep at night, so I asked my parents to explain the dark. They said, here's a nightlight, you'll be fine. But I knew the dark was still there.
My mother takes cream in her coffee. I used to ask her to drizzle it slowly because I loved watching the swirls. One morning, I noticed the swirls in her second cup were completely different from the first, but after she stirred, the color looked exactly the same. I was terrified. So I asked her if the world was like that color, an illusion of order hiding a true condition of chaos.
What did she say?
She said, God works in mysterious ways, but don't worry, you'll understand everything as soon as you're dead. I think God, whatever we call God, never reveals itself to us directly, only in the traces it leaves behind. We have to listen for it in a trail of echoes. I think God is the order of things, but the world is so full, it's hard to find that order. It gets buried in the sheer amount, the chaos and the riddles, the coffee swirls. Look at the R cell. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. The logic of a possible cure, and it's buried in a paradox.
Sounds kind of Buddhist. I guess Buddhist is okay. Do you ever worry you'll get all the way to the bottom of those coffee swirls and there won't be an order, just more swirls?
No. That's what makes it faith.
So where is the bottom? How do I get there? I don't even know where to look.
You can't find it by looking. You have to listen. If you're quiet and alert enough, maybe you'll hear.
I'm too impatient. Teach me to listen like that.
There's no way to teach it. I picked you because you already can. Your idea on the train from Boston that time, that wasn't something you figured out. You started listening and then you heard.
Do you want to have sex?
I thought you have a boyfriend.
I've decided I like you better. This is embarrassing.
No. It's a nice thought.
You're not gay on top of being religious.
You're my student. It wouldn't be right.
I know 2 postdocs who are practically engaged to their lab chiefs.
Postdocs aren't students.
So you can't have sex with me, but you can with someone you don't even trust with your key? That makes sense. Knock 'em dead in Tucson.
Alice? You won't be a student forever. Rain check?
Listen very carefully. I want Dr. Shumway in the penthouse suite, right where you booked him over a month. Excuse me, am I still talking? You screwed up, and that's okay. Now live with it. As a scientist, I pride myself on being dispassionate, but as director of this institution, I'll have our attorneys sue your hotel till it bleeds. Good, then. And make sure the quiche and those little meatballs are hot. Tell me again, slowly this time.
I was checking weights on the new group of mice when I noticed several... Their glands are starting to swell.
You finished checking all the other mice?
3 times.
Any swelling with them?
All the other groups seem fine. It's just the new one.
This is why I had to stop whatever I'm doing? Last month when the glands in that other group started to swell.
I know.
Were those animals beginning to relapse, or was it a simple infection like I said?
And I'm sure it's a simple infection again. 99% sure.
Good. Can I go now? Still got a million things to do before tomorrow.
No, that's the problem. Tucson's tomorrow. There's no time to section the tissue.
Yeah, so you'll section it when you get back. Now go home. Get some sleep.
Is that what you think I should say?
About what?
In Tucson. When I mention the group, say there wasn't time. I'll section it when I get back.
Why even mention it?
You mean... I guess I'm not sure what you mean.
One group means nothing.
Right, so why not mention
Why
it?
do you think final drafts had to be in a month ago? Something always comes up at the last minute. Everyone knows that.
Uh-huh. So if everyone knows that, I guess I'm still not
Why?
clear.
Do you think there's something to worry about?
No. I'm sure as soon as I section the
You'll be
tissue...
addressing reporters, for God's sake. Idiots with an MBA. It'll take a week to explain the magnitude of what you've been doing. You'll have 45 minutes, tops, out of which you'll have their undivided attention for 10. By the time they've had a couple of cocktails, they'll remember maybe 2 things you said, and trust me, this will be one.
I'm sure if I can be matter of fact...
Do you want to listen to me, or did you wake up today knowing more than me? Can't expect people like that to understand science. If an animal dies, all they know is it's dead. People are bringing checkbooks tomorrow, and you want to stand up and give them what people with money love the most, a perfect excuse not to spend it.
So then you're saying as long as I deal with it right after Tucson...
Yeah, obviously, if it turns out there really was a problem, you email people, let them know right away.
I guess bringing it up before I've had any chance to investigate. It's not like we're trying to publish. The funny thing is, I already had one foot out the door. If I hadn't decided to check one more time...
Listen, I told the driver to pick me up first. That way, you'll get a little more sleep.
Thanks. You're not angry.
About what?
It just seemed the tone of your voice.
The tone of my voice? Honestly, William. I can't believe we're still up. Excited?
You bet. And in conclusion... I truly believe that someday we'll look back on cancer the way we look at cholera today, as the curious suffering of a primitive people.
Very nice. Very professional. In case your ears have been burning, a couple rows behind me, I overheard someone, "This young man, if there wasn't already the prize, they'd have to call Sweden and make one." You probably don't know, I brought down a little something myself they want me to read, should you happen to find yourself with a few extra minutes.
If there's any way I can come...
The last I heard, they moved me to Monday, right after something very important on pus. You try the jacuzzi?
Actually, there's... one in my room.
I'll probably skip it, looking across at a bunch of naked scientists. The idea alone, I want to throw up. It would be quite an honor winning the prize at your age. Younger than Watson, almost as young as Heisenberg.
Younger than Heisenberg, actually. Listen, I should probably... there's a little reception upstairs. Of course, you're welcome if you'd like to come.
You're very thoughtful, but I've been looking forward all morning to a nap. I mostly came over. I was waiting at the front desk before. You don't want to hear the toilet they gave me. And this man said, a woman from New York sent this fax. Did I know where Dr. Shumway was? Here. Everything okay?
Yes.
Maybe when we're back in New York, you'll come see my office, meet my new roommate. We'll sit down and talk.
Right.
You know, for such a young man, I admire your poise.
Thanks. I was a lot more nervous than I looked.
I mean, right now. If it were me reading that fax, I'd be on the phone asking what she means by something the matter with two of your groups.
Anyway, I really need to...
Please, go mingle. This is your special day.
Hello?
Yeah, listen, my cell phone died. Can you hear me all right?
Where are you?
The airport in Milan.
I've been trying to reach you.
Arnie Pollock just tracked me down. You remember meeting him in Tucson last week at that god-awful toupee?
The New England Journal? Sure.
Apparently, they're going to print in a week, and an article just kicked out. Do you have a clean draft of your paper from Tucson?
Yes.
Get it out to him today. Someone is faxing you details.
The Journal wants to run it?
What do you think we've been talking about? There's no time to put it through regular peer review, but if he gets it today, he can fast-track it, have it in galleys by Friday.
Friday?
William, Pollock's calling it the most exciting work he's seen on tumor research in more than 10 years.
I thought we said Tucson was different from trying to publish.
Right, if there turned out to be a problem. William, you have to talk louder. The airport seems to be filled with infants that haven't been fed.
Another group is involved.
I know. You showed me the girl's fax.
I mean another one since then.
Well, why is that surprising if the infection from the first group...
It wasn't an infection. The mice are starting to relapse.
Anything else different about those groups?
No. They're all from the latest batch that got shipped,
sure?
But I don't know why that would matter.
How many times do mice get infected before they're
It wasn't
shipped?
an infection.
I'm just saying, as an example. Anyway, this has nothing to do with the journal.
Nothing to...
You'll only be publishing the groups before Tucson.
Right, but wouldn't we still want to... We'll only be losing a couple of months.
It doesn't work like that. The journal's locked up for more than a year. Get them the draft today, will ya? Sort of break never happens. Look, my plane is boarding.
I really think we should talk about this.
Fine. What if I try to reach you sometime tomorrow?
I need more time. I'm sure it's just...
Okay. William, maybe you'd better tell me right now. Is the pressure getting too much for you?
What do you mean?
All the attention? Everything moving so fast?
That's got nothing to do with...
Your project is the only thing on my calendar. I've never given anything this kind of focus, but I can't keep making the ourselves my life if you're not completely sure.
I just told you I'm sure.
And I heard that, but are you sure? Because the people on top of Money Mountain want better than kind of pretty sure. Tucson got you off the farm, made you credible. These people have spent the last 30 years and billions of dollars on a cure that was always around the corner, but the cows never came home. So when they listen to a paper in Tucson, they're hearing every paper that nearly cost them their jobs. This time they want to be sure.
How?
A letter in writing from God, but he said no. The journal is the closest thing.
And Dr. Pollock is clear he'll only be getting results before Tucson?
Just the groups you presented there.
So all I'll be saying is 10 groups of mice were injected with the human equivalent of a level 4 carcinoma.
Right. Can I tell him yes?
The tumors did continue to shrink for 5 weeks before stabilizing. I don't see how I'd be overstating.
Practically word for word from your paper.
He wants it by the end of the day?
Don't worry about typos. His editors need the work.
I just want to make sure it's clear when I section the latest group.
As long as he gets it by the end of the day.
So he really liked my talk?
The most exciting work in 10 years. Arnie Pollock.
Hurry. You'll miss your plane.
Hey, are you near a cup?
A cup?
Coffee cup. Or just grab a beaker. You got it?
Yep.
Now raise it.
Okay.
Because I'm about to propose a toast. Is it in the air?
Yes.
To Sweden.
This is Secret Order by Bob Clyman, directed by Gordon Hunt. Starring Richard Schiff, George Segal, Will McCormack, and Angela Goethals. Episode 2's out right now. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss an episode of the Relativity Series. From LA Theater Works, Susan Lowenberg, producing director, and the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, bridging science and the arts in the modern world.